Welcome everybody to a new series here in TEW 2020, which is basically going to be, as you can see by the name of the save, and by the name of the video, it's going to be New Japan 2004, basically saving it from Inoki-ism. To go over the basic storyline, Inoki did Inoki things, got New Japan bought out, and now he has no booking power, so he doesn't have to screw up New Japan like he did for most of the 2000s, until he basically got kicked out for real, and we had the push of Takahashi, Nakamura, and all the other people you love. But we're going to do that sooner, realistically, and without as many dumb ideas as Inoki had in the mid-2000s. Unfortunately, we still have some overlap of people still left over from the Inoki era, and I'm still going to book realistically. So I'm not going to you're not going to see certain people being pushed super quite beyond what they got pushed in real life, unless they got pushed in the first place. If that makes any sense. But let's just go for the roster for you guys. So. Start from the top, we have major stars. Problem is, we have no major stars. That's what we call a problem as far as booking. As far as stars, we've got Inoki, who's going to just be our PR guy. He has no power, but he's still being paid well. We've got Liger, who's Liger. Still really over, still really good. He'll continue to be really good for the next decade at least before he has to become sort of a mid-card. Well, he didn't really become a pure mid-card guy to even the last couple of years. But still. We got Muto, who here's on one-night contract from All Japan because he was actually on the Real Life Dome show. Still quite good, actually really charismatic and stuff. Then we have Chono, who is getting up there, a little broken down, and won't be a main event player, but he can be a strong tag team guy, part of storylines, and be somebody who can be put over people, but also not be a complete jobber yet. Then we got Nagada, who never got the push he really deserved, because even when he got the long IWGP title reign, he was always over, he was never really the core part of the company. So yes, that's a tell him what I'll probably be doing, but not right away, as again, gotta build this stuff creatively. Then we get on to our well-knowns. We start with Tenryu, who is of course Old Man Tenryu at this point, basically over just because he's Old Man Tenryu. He's still not terrible in the ring, but he's also not a full-timer, so he'll be around for maybe for big shows for the next year or two at most, and then we'll move on from him. Tenzhon, who's actually pretty solid, a lot better than actually people think, because most people only know him from late era Tenzhon, which isn't great. He's not Okada or anything in the ring, but he's not terrible either, which is where we have to go with. And he's charismatic and such, so he'll get a solid push here. We got Barnett, who isn't an MMA guy, but unlike other MMA guys, he actually seems to know pro wrestling a little bit. So I'm not going to totally use him, throw him in the trash, but also he's not going to get the super push he might have got. On the other hand, Fujita, I'm sorry, buddy, you got 3 months left, and you're going to do some jobs, but that's it, because I have no use for you. Sasaki recently came back after being involved in the weird internal politics that was New Japan in the early 2000s. So he'll be back for a little while. He is a freelancer, so he won't be around for long. Or actually, his contract, he is around for. It's a handshake deal. Okay, interesting. So he'll eventually walk away, but that's it. But yeah, he's quite good in the ring, actually, so that'll be solid. We got Suzuki, who is not quite the Suzuki everybody knows and loves at this point. He's Suzuki, who's just getting back into Puroresu after being years in Pancrase and MMA, so he's still getting used to doing work stuff. Not terrible, but still has some stuff to get used to. Then we got Chusu, who's I think is basically retired. I always forget, did he actually retire or do he have more matches? I'll have to double check that stuff, but at most he might be used for really big shows as a special attraction. That's about it. Scott Norton, who's over, which is good, but probably won't like to put people over, which is not as good. So I'll just figure out what to do with him, because he's still not useless in the ring yet, but he's getting there. Nakamura, this is super rookie era Nakamura before he went to Mexico, so we'll have to see if we can maybe do that change that he did in real life without sending him off to Mexico for, a year, or we can just figure out his actual gimmick. That all depends on stuff. But he's Nakamura, so he's really good. Not the greatest wrestler at this point, but really, decently charismatic. Has some star quality to him. Needs to be built up a little bit. He's a current heavyweight champion, which is interesting. But yeah, we'll try to avoid the mistakes that they did. Fujinami's retired, he's a, backstage guy. Or I guess he's not actually retired, but like, yeah, he's not. No, yeah, okay. We got Takayama, who's part of the tag team champions. This is, I think, after he had the insane match with Fry, which ringed his bell. That also got him a lot more over. He's not great in the ring, but he has like lots of fighting spirit, which the fans like, and he's decently over. So there you go. Moving down to our recognizable folks, we got Black Cat, who's just like an older cruiserweight, I mean, older junior heavyweight. Oh, right, no, he's retired. He's a referee road at this point. Sorry, my bad. We got Bob Sapp, who's, he's Bob Sapp. Sapp's interesting because, like, he actually, like, he has charisma, he has star quality, but he never, like, quite did it in the ring, so, and he's, like, not super over yet, so, I mean, honestly, like, let me look at his contract. Yeah, it's an ongoing contract, so I could get rid of him at any point. I'll see how he does on the show and then go from there. We got Brian Danielson, who's, honestly, like, he's been in here a while, but if I remember right, he's on a handshake deal, and honestly, just for realism reasons, I might let him go to do ROH by the end of the year, or I'll just might see how he does in the ring. Like, this is not a world where Danielson is going to be like IWGP by the end of 2006 or anything like that. We got El Samurai, who's El Samurai, like, he's been here forever, he'll continue to be here forever. We got Guido and Jado, who are not going to be the bookers here, so who knows what they're like. They'll be like, but they're like solid in ring hands, not terrible. We got Heat, former Minoru Tanaka, and this is what we call a very silly gimmick, but, it could be worse. We got Tanahashi, who's still rising up the ranks here. He won the U30 Openweight title, which is basically just a belt made for him. He's Tanahashi, so he's really solid. He'll become really good, and, eventually, who knows what he does by the end of his career here. We got Kanemoto, who's Kanemoto. He's great. He's the bastard that he's always been. Nakanishi, who's big. He'll never be the greatest wrestler in the world, but he's really solid. He's lots of skills. He's decent. Like, he's a tough guy. Like, he's never going to be the guy, but he could be a solid hand here for a while. We got Nishimura, who's like decent as far as like doing the technical stuff, but like not super charismatic and never going to be like the guy. But he can be a strong part of the mid card for a little while. We got Makabe, who's Makabe. He'll have a long career here in the company. We'll just have to see what he does here in the long run. We'll just have to figure out about that. And Tiger Mask 4, who's, it's Tiger Mask 4. Well, what do you want me to say about him? We move down to our unimportant folks, which is basically a lot of old Hokuto, who's just here to be Sasaki's manager. We got Anzawa, who was a dojo guy who I don't think did much. I'll have to double check him, but he ran his dojo guy. But Blue Wolf, former Mongolian MMA guy, who came in, had a fun little run, but didn't do much else. We'll have to see if he turns into something. Curryman, the Christopher Daniels, I might keep him around just to see what he does, but otherwise, not the best guy ever. As far as his New Japan runs, and again, I don't want to turn this into late era elite New Japan, where it was basically just a bunch of indie guys plus the New Japan roster. I want a New Japan company. Yamagachi, ring announcer. Sato, old guy, he'll be around. Goto, young lion. Nagio, young lion. Uno, referee. Takamura, random guy who's just not really much. He's decent, but nothing special. Shibata, again, young guy. Not quite Shibata yet, but could be something. Murakami, former MMA guy in Pride, came into pro wrestling, didn't do great in it, but he's on the Tokyo Dome show, so we'll see how he does. Norus, former MMA guy, came in New Japan as a result, so he'll probably won't be around for long because doesn't have great skills. Fujita, actually a decent fun guy, but not that decently over, not that skilled, but possibly can become a bit better, and we'll just have to see about that. The guy, kickboxer, came from Makai Club. He's not going to be around for long. Yamamoto, the future. Oh God, what was his WWE name? Oh God, I'm totally blanking on his name, but the future Bullet Club Hunter who lost all his matches. Chizen, he's a young lion, stuff. Taguchi, the former guy, will be here for forever. We'll see how he does. Yasuda, sumo wrestler, yeah, I don't know about this. Asuka, Azuka's actually good. Like, this is not the Azuka people who know only Gedo, Jado, or New Japan, but he's still solid here, and we'll have to see what he does here. Sugiura, of course, is the future longtime Noah guy. He's here basically for one night because he wrestles Liger. Godo's Godo. He's an old legend. Yano's Yano. But he is right now just a young lion, so maybe he won't be the Yano everybody loves. Maybe this will be a Yano, a world where Yano becomes the guy. Who knows? Inoue, former dojo guy, decent guy in the lightweight junior heavyweight division at the moment. And then we got Yoshi, who's a who is a guy who never really did much, but he was a Tanahashi's tag partner, but didn't actually get up that much after that. But so that's the roster. Title wise, again, G1 Climax winner last year was Tenzhon. IWGP champion is Nakamura. He beat Tenzhon for it in December. Junior heavyweight champion is Heat. He beat Jado for it in December. Junior heavyweight tag team champions are Gedo and Jado, who won the titles back in November. Tag team champions are Tenzhon and Takayama. They beat Yoshi and Tanahashi for the titles back in December. And the under 30 open weight is Tanahashi. And like I said, this has just been Tanahashi's title forever. So there we go. Only stable right now is this Pirate Gundan stable, which is basically Tenryu, Sasaki, Nakanishi, Norton, which is basically just a random bunch of guys. I'll have to double check exactly what they did in real life because I don't remember them, but like vaguely I remember them. No figurehead yet. And team-wise, only teams in the database are Dragon, Curryman, Gedo, and Jado. So I'll have to double check, look over some results, and go from there. As far as figuring out what out, production's solid. Like, don't need to increase that yet. Size, size is like we're going to lose some popularity probably for our first year, just because this is correct as far as New Japan's actual popularity at the time, but also New Japan was doing bad at the time, so they can need to lose popularity for a while. Hopefully, we'll turn that around a bit. Backstage isn't terrible. Let's see here. Yeah, there we go. Could be worse. Anyway, so that's where we are. The plan for the series is going over the various tours and such. I don't know how much of how often this will be a series. This is probably not going to be anything that's weekly. But I'm planning for the spot for this sort of midweek slot to be sort of various random things I'm doing in TEW and maybe other things. I'm just not 100% sure. I'll just have to figure that stuff out. But oh yeah, right. I want to show you guys the actual. So I basically, even though it doesn't matter as far as the show, I just pre-booked everything to show you guys. So here's the actual lineup for the Tokyo Dome show. We got Bob Sapp and Kijimoto versus Tenzon Shono. We got Gedo and Jado, the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Champs, facing off against Heat and Tiger Mask. We got Godo versus Yanomoto in a Young Lions match. We got Tanahashi defending the Under 30 title versus his former tag partner or current tag partner. I'll look that up. Yoshi. We got Barnett and Azuka versus Shibata and Murakami in an MMA style match, most likely. We got Liger versus Sugiura. In real life, this was for the GHC Junior Heavyweight title, but we can't do that. So, yeah, unfortunate. Takamura versus El Samurai, just a match on the show. Nakanishi versus Tenryu. It's a really big match. Suzuki versus Nashimura. Interesting styles clash. MMA versus pro wrestling style. Another young lion match between Taguchi and Akira. Nakamura versus Takayama for the IWGP title in the main event. We got Makabe and Yano team up to take on Blue Wolf and Inoue. And we got Nagada versus Sasaki. So it'll be an interesting show. In real life, this was actually a solid show. There's lots of midgets on because of the MMA stuff and such. But the big matches did solidly well, so I hope that'll do as well. But you'll just have to see about that in a second. I'll come back in just a moment here with the Tokyo Dome show. Alright, and now it's time for the Wrestling World 2004 live from the Tokyo Dome in front of a announced 55,000 people, but probably far, far less in reality, but can't do with the game. Anyway, we start out with an opening video, basically, the standard issues Tokyo Dome opening, focused on the big stars, including Nakamura, Muto, Liger, Shono, Tanahashi, and Sap. This gets 73, then we go to our opening match, which is a Battle of the Young Lions, where Haruki Goto defeats Yanafumi Yamamoto in 5:35 by pinfall with a missile dropkick. This gets a 24 because, well, it's an opening. It's a Young Lion match. Nobody's supposed to care yet, but solid one for Goto. He gets a 36. Yamamoto's at a 26. So fun stuff. Nothing super exciting, but just this is what an opening match is in New Japan in 2004. Then we go to another opening match, which is a little bit better, as Kazushi Takemura defeats El Samurai in 7:02 by pinfall. Just another solid win for Takamura over old junior heavyweight legend El Samurai. This gets a 52. Takamura gets a 40. El Samurai gets a 57. El Samurai was not happy about dropping, but what can you do? Also, there's some weirdness where some of the people who are stars because they're from MMA only have 1 year experience, so they're set as Young Lions, which is leads some weirdness with people being unhappy, but I'll deal with that, in the back afterwards. Regardless, solid win for Takamura. I'll see if he actually ends up being something in this version of reality. After that, we got a not great match. Shinya Makabe and Toru Yano defeats Blue Wolf and Motoro Inoue in 9:47. When Toru Yano pinned Blue Wolf with what else but a roll up. This gets a 32. Yano gets an 18. Makabe gets a 39. Inoue gets a 41, Blue Wolf gets a 39. Unfortunately, Makabe and Yano have no chemistry as partners, and this match brought the crowd down. What can you do? The bad chemistry is unfortunate, because that means they're basically done as a team, but I'll figure out what else to do with them in the future. Then we had oof. Okay, this was not great. Two really over junior heavyweight Young Lions. Again, why was this match on the show in reality? Who knows? Anyway, Taguchi defeats Akira Nyanza in 5 minutes with a business dropkick. This gets a 5 because nobody cares about this match. And yeah, we're just going to softly move on here and pretend it didn't actually happen. Okay, so this actually, I hope, brought the crowd back as a decent match. Gedo and Jiro make a defense of their junior heavyweight tag titles, defeating Heat and Tiger Max 4 in 10:28 when Gedo pins the current junior heavyweight champion Heat with a Superfly Splash. This gets a 66. Gedo gets a 64. Gedo gets a 63. Tiger Mask gets a 65. And he gets a 65. And yeah, big win for Gedo, as he's now likely lined up for a junior heavyweight title shot. And him as Jado are still the tag team champions here. Then we had in our little interpromotional match as Takahashi Sugiura comes in from Noah and fights Justin Liger, but it's Jushin Liger, so he gets the win here, going for Sugiura 14:43 by pinfall with the Shote. As this gets a 60, Liger gets a 71, Sugiura gets a 44. Decent little match here, and just a little bit of a way for Sugiura to show off, but Liger gets the big one here. Unfortunately, no way to put him over for the GHC Junior Heavyweight title, but nothing that terrible either. So solid win for Liger here. And then we have our second title match as Tanahashi defeats Yasuda Yoshi in 10:30 by pinfall. Just a solid, straightforward win here. Not even an open match. This is just not quite a domination by Tanahashi, but this is a let Tanahashi look like a star match as he just dominates. Yoshi gets a little bit of offense in, but Tanahashi gets a big win by the end as he defends his under 30 openweight title. This gets a 51. Tanahashi gets a 65. Yoshi gets a 34. So, Tanahashi is not quite there, but he's getting there. And then Inoki comes out to welcome the crowd as this gets a 75. And just Inoki coming out, waving, getting the crowd pop, and then, sitting down at ringside with the announcers as it gets 75. And just, a PR appearance for Inoki, as the crowd expects here in 2004. Then we had interesting matches about the Subpar Wrestling Little Heat. Barnett and Azuka defeats Shibata and Murakami in 15:02 when Barnett submits Shibata. So this is just an MMA strong style type of match. Lots of submissions, lots of holds, probably a couple suplexes from Azuka and Shibata. Murakami kicking people, Barnett keeping people in holds. Nothing too terrible, but nothing too great here. Solid little mid card match. Barnett and Azuka go over. because Shibata's a young lion. I mean, Barnett's officially a young lion match, but he has lots of MMA experience, so that doesn't really matter. Unfortunately, Shibata and Murakami don't work as well as a team, but, that isn't a huge thing. Azuka gets a 56, Barnett gets a 58, Murakami gets a 44, Shibata gets a 38, probably without the lack of working well. They probably would have both been in the mid 40s, late 40s, but nothing too terrible here. And just a solid win for Bart and Azuka. And just moving on, honestly. Oof. All right. Well, not the okay. So basically, I set this as a technical masterclass because I just want to see what would happen. And I mean, this still did decently. Like Suzuki got a 70, Nishimura got a 58. But so overall a 65, and like just so, like lots of holds, lots of Nishimura doing his Muga style stuff, Suzuki doing his like pancrase MMA style stuff. But eventually, Suzuki walks Nishimura in some sort of hold and gets a submission. Big win for Suzuki as he goes over, unlike what he did in real life. But hey, big win for Suzuki here. And not the worst match, honestly. Like, match was still poorly placed according to them, but it was still not like a terrible match. And then, oof, okay, yeah, Tenru, that thing when I was saying about Tenru possibly coming in for some special shots. Nah, sorry, Tenru, you're done. And about the good heat, but saw wrestling, Takahashi defeats Tenru in 951 by pinfall to her. Well, okay, he did not get him for the Hercules cutter. He had some sort of like big lariat or something to get the pinfall win here, because I doubt Tenru's taking the Hercules cutter at 53. 56, not the worst match. I mean, not the best match, but nothing terrible here. Nakanishi gets a 54, Tenru gets a 50, and yeah, that's honestly probably it for Tenru here in New Japan. He might like be part of like some wacky undercard tags, but that's about it. Then, oof, all right. Okay, so good gimmick for Nagada. Anyway, so and then his okay, well, okay. So in real life, this was a actually pretty awesome match. These guys just kicked the shit out of each other for like 10, 11 minutes. I think it was actually 12 minutes in real life, but like not that long. So I sort of booked this the same way. Unfortunately, like not enough. I mean, the match suffered because not enough selling show. Game. This is New Japan 2004. Nobody gives a shit about selling. But anyway, regardless, big win for Nagata as he beats Suzuki in 145 as he knocks Sasaki the fuck out. In real life, there was a weird finish where Nagata got the submission, but here he just lariats Nagata down and just kicks the shit out of him until the ref calls for the bell. So this gets a 71. It's a good match. Nagata gets a 68. Sasaki gets 73. And yeah, big win for Nagata. And then we have Sap Amudo coming out to the crowd, getting a 70. And Sap's new gimmick gets a very good, which isn't terrible. But yeah, good stuff as, just this is, them coming out as just a big team outsiders. And then they have the actual match, which gets a 75. Okay, good stuff. God, yeah, that's not like, Fine's not clearly like the young one like Bob Sapp beat Tenzon. In real life, Sapp was super over, so I'll have to maybe see if I can. I might I might turn off the young line system at least until like the people that would be affected by it are off the card. Like I'm not going to say like book like I'm not going to like suddenly put like a young line in the main event or anything, but I might turn it off to avoid things like this. Anyway, decent little match here as a battle of great heat. He's wrestling Bob Sapp. Hideo Muto defeat Tenzon Mono and Chono in 1151 when Bob Sapp pinned Tenzon. That's really the only finish you can do here because Muto and Chono probably aren't dropping for obvious reasons. But big win for Sapp here as Muto gets a 70, Bob Sapp gets a 41, Chono gets a 60, 89, Tenzon gets a 76. Not enough selling show. I mean, look at these four. Yes, that's not a good problem. Tenzo and Chono have great chemistry and a tag team specialist bonus, so there we go. And Bob Sapp visually tiring a match in 12 minutes. Yeah, about that. What can you do? But big win for Bob Sapp and Muto as they get the win here at Wrestling World 2004 and the Tokyo Dome. And then in our main event, which gets a 71, which honestly is about what I expected here. And with a good Heat Wrestling, Nakamura defeats Takayama in 15-27 by pinfall. And yeah, just a solid straightforward win for Nakamura here over Takayama. It was still probably like a lot of stiff strikes and kicks and everything else. But yeah, solid win as Nakamura gets a 64, Takayama gets a 68, and post-match, Nakamura celebrates the title win, gets a 64, and overall, this show gets a 73. I mean, that's exactly what I expected. It was sort of like mid-70s. So, let's see here. Masahiro Chono, you did great. Who else? Like, honestly, he And what else was like better than I expected? Honestly, this is a B. There we go. And let's see here who's pissed after that show. Survey says. Loading. Lots of hirings. Lots of hirings. Okay, so. Yeah, okay. Yep. Yeah. I mean, yes. Yeah, Summer has some bigger morale issues, and has some morale issues. Choni has some bigger morale issues, so I'll just pay those guys off. But yeah, so that's the show. I haven't like gone in and fixed the schedule, so it's a mess with lots of wacky, not actually happening shows. So I'll go in and fix that. Like I'll look at 2004's actual schedule and go from there. But yeah, I think this is a good solid start. Let's like check out some overness changes as far as people go. So let's see, Bob Sapp. Okay, so he gained about 5 points, which is nice. Let's see here. Gato gained 3 points. Josh Barnett is the same. Liger's the same. Shibata, did he lose a bunch by losing? Nope, he's still fine. Let's see here. Suzuki, did he lose a bunch by losing? Nope, he's still fine. Nakanishi, did you gain a bunch by beating? Oh, he gained 5 for beating Tenru. Oh yeah, is Tenru, let's see here, popularity wise. He lost 5, and yeah. That's interesting. Chono's Chono, so even though he lost 5 points, like he's still freaking Chono. Let's see here. Nakamura's up a point, which is nice. Oh, Tanahashi, let's see here. Tanahashi's the same. It makes sense because he beat somebody who's lower than him. Let's see here. Yama lost a point, so not a huge difference there. And Nagada's already super over, so that doesn't really make a huge change. So yeah, I mean that's sort of what I expect here. Not a bunch of huge changes here, as we're starting things off. But yeah, like title wise now, just like looking at the future, like junior heavyweight champion. I mean, he's going to be defending against Ito, but I'm going to actually also try to like rebuild the junior heavyweight division a bit. Tag champs are Guido and Jado. They'll probably keep them for a bit. Tag team champs are Tenzon and Takayama. I'll have to figure out what I'm doing with them in general. And I'll also do some like double check some research into like what the stables and such are like in New Japan this time. Openweight champion is Tanahashi. There's going to be a point to him having the title in the future, but for him it's just sort of his special title. You know, basically his like $1 million belt in a way. A heavyweight champion is Nakamura. So here's the thing. He's not going to hold like this is not going to be like some super long reign, but he's not like do a random job to like an MMA guy. G1 Climax in August, so that'll be fun, and Best of Juniors in June, so that'll also be fun. Yeah, I think there was a solid beginning to things. Like obviously, we'll have to figure out some things as far as like talent, available talent, sign some people, young lions, all that fun stuff. But I think this is a solid little fun beginning to a new series. Again, probably after this, because we'll be doing actual tours and such, will be a little longer videos. But yeah, I think that's about it. So if you enjoyed this, go ahead and give it a like, comment below on what you're thinking, and subscribe to this channel for TEW 2020 content such as this and my long-running WCW series, now heading towards Starrcade 2004. But hey, that's it for now. So talk later, and adios. Have a good one.